I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on GBM, we're talking to a terrific author. His name is Ron Shamwell. He is an accomplished educator, nonprofit leader, and sociological thinker. He is out with a groundbreaking new book. It is called A Sociological Approach to Effective Time Management Strategies. In the book, he blends the science of human behavior with the art of productivity. With decades of experience in social work administration, instructional design, and higher education, the author reveals how our social environments profoundly shape how we manage time, set goals, and balance responsibilities. His innovative approach offers readers, students, professionals, and lifelong leaders alike a transformative way to understand not only how we manage time, but why we manage it the way we do. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Ron, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Logan. Glad to be here.
Great to have you on the show. This is such an inspired work. What led you to connect the disciplines of sociology and time management in such an original way?
Well, situationally, I teach urban students at a community college, and I've been doing that for quite a while. And the underpinning or the underlining thing that keeps coming across to me because of their busy schedules and their responsibilities and the adverse conditions that they find themselves in, they still struggle extremely hard to try to get their education and to make it in life. And one underpinning of that is time. They're doing so many things. They're working, some of them 2 to 3 jobs, have family responsibilities, and they're faced with a lot of other distractions. So I always try to encourage them to use their time as wisely as possible so that they can block out chunks of time to figure out what they need to do and what they should not be doing in order for them to manage their lives a lot better. And that kind of spurred me into thinking about it a little more seriously and maybe trying to put something to pen that they could read and kind of sink their teeth into. And boom, I came up with this idea of the book. Since I teach sociology, it's a lot of principles in sociology, like the sociological imagination talks about a vivid awareness of being able to understand your personal experiences and the public experiences, and being able to see the wider world to gauge a relationship between those two poles. And as students, they're so involved with being in the box, they rarely have time to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
So in setting up your time management, you need to be able to think outside of the box as well as understand where you are within the box.
Yeah.
The first principle of thinking is a deductionist. You want to reduce something to its simplest term and then see how it applies to where you are and what you can do innovatively to expand on that. And I thought those two ideas would fit well within time management. So I thought about 7 different areas that would be important. And 3 of those areas are really important: scheduling your time, being able to understand distractions that you might have to deal with. And I guess another one is being able to really figure out boundaries. You know, how do you maintain your boundaries? So those 3 things became pivotal amongst the 7. And each of the chapters has a Likert scale where students can go down and see how they've done, what they understand about the particular chapter, and test themselves to see whether or not they gauge pretty fairly. There's a summary of activities that they can look at. There are other readings that they can turn to. And there are other authors that I've listed that they can also refer to, not just my book, but refer to other authors, not so much a comparison, but just to pick up some other skills and to
Mm.
see that we're in the same ballpark.
Absolutely, absolutely. Many people struggle with a huge waste of time, and that is procrastination. How does your psychological lens help explain why it happens?
Well, psychologically, procrastination comes about when you have so many things, so many distractions
Mm.
that you're not able to handle all of those distractions. So rather than deal with any of them, you'll just put them to the side. And ultimately, by putting them to the side, you're just procrastinating and waiting and waiting and waiting to get it done. And then eventually it's too late, or you're now under the gun. Now you're under a lot of pressure. I found that to be true with students and papers because they work, they have family responsibilities, they have other responsibilities. And when it comes time to do their scholarly work, they tend to have a habit to wait. And when they wait, they're under pressure. And when you're under pressure, you might not do your best job. So what I'm trying to educate them about is don't wait till the last minute. Have a plan, have a schedule, have
Mm.
boundaries, know when to tell people no, know how to prioritize what you're doing, be able to understand if you do better in the morning or if you're an afternoon person or if you're an evening person. Then if you are, set your schedule up to do what you need to do in those times that you have the most comfortable way of doing things.
Mm. What role does culture play in shaping different attitudes toward time and productivity across societies?
Really a great deal because culture determines the kind of beliefs, the values, and attitudes that a person has. And the different societies, even though culture and the beliefs and the attitudes are essentially the rubric that cuts across all cultures, because the cultures are situational to their own reflective issues, they might address that in different kinds of ways. So
Mm.
there's no one standard way that you can go into a culture and have a cookie cutter. You just have to
Yeah.
deal with the culture the way that the culture is set up and understand the culture from the own culture's point of view, and then try to educate them around what it is that you think they need to deal with in terms of time management.
Yeah. How do you feel readers can use your sociological framework to redesign their daily routines for greater balance and fulfillment?
Well, in urban areas and in teaching urban students and students in the low to middle income areas, I think time management can be used to get them to understand that it's not your particular problem. The world around you has put you in a predicament that you now have to try to resolve or solve. So you have to be able to be reflective and be a thoughtful person to get out of the malaise that you might find yourself in. And this is where C. Wright Mills' idea of the sociological imagination becomes so important because it helps people understand their personal issues versus the public issues and
Mm.
how to modulate the difference between those two things. It's like a continuum. Public issues are on one end of the continuum, and personal issues are on the other end of the continuum. You need degrees between those two extremes to try to figure out how you would manage that.
Mm. If readers take away one transformative idea from your book, what would you hope it would be?
Ah, that's a good question. I guess the transformative idea I would want them to take away is that you're not the locus of your problem, that there are so many societal constraints that are invisible that you might not recognize that exist. But once you begin to understand that they do exist and they do play a role in your daily life, you'll be better able to figure out how to manage that to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Take a look at two students. One is at an Ivy League school,
Okay.
lives at the school, basically is there to basically study, live there, and maybe participate in an extracurricular activity.
Sure.
Then you go to a community college student. That student is working as a baby, commutes to school. I mean, so the management of time for these two different students uh, is vastly different, right? And those are the
Correct.
sociological aspects that impact not only the student, but their trajectory for success. True?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The 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 traditional college student, the Ivy League school or the 4-year schools are pretty much traditional students, meaning they don't have to worry about going to work. They don't have to worry about outside issues because they're pretty much isolated on campus where not that they don't have problems or not that they don't have issues, but not as severe, I would say, as the student who's attending an urban school, doesn't stay on campus, has to compete with the environment that they live in on a daily basis. It's kind of like the difference between ideal and real,
Yeah.
and being able to manage that for the traditional student is a little easier because they've been trained in a way that the non-traditional student hasn't been trained. Their family has been able to help them. They've been able to have resources. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they've just had resources. And with those resources, they've been able to equip themselves to maybe look at time in a different way than the non-traditional student that hasn't had the resources to their latitude that they could use those resources to understand things. So they're pretty much up against the unknown,
Yeah.
where the traditional student is pretty much in the known. So they pretty much know what they're doing.
Yeah. Amazing. It's such a fascinating study. It's such a fascinating book that you have written, and it really puts time and time management in a whole new perspective. The name of the book is A Sociological Approach to Effective Time Management Strategies. It blends the science of human behavior with the art of productivity. With decades of experience in social work, administration, and instructional design in higher education, the author reveals how our social environments profoundly shape the way we manage time, set goals, and balance responsibilities. Ron, thank you so much for joining us here today.
All right, thank you. It was very good being here.
Great talking with you as well, sir. I appreciate your insight and your great research that you've done on this topic. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.